Hello and welcome back to Something Borrowed Blue Ridge. I am so excited for episode number 4 today with Blythe and Jack. Blythe and Jack are my very first couple that I've had on the podcast that I actually do not know. I have never met them until today when we are recording on the podcast, and they were referred to me through Hannah Strickland that you know and love from episode number 3. If you haven't listened to that one, make sure you go back and listen to number 3. But I'm really excited to have them on the podcast today and learn all about their big day along with you, and we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to Something Borrowed Blue Ridge, a space where brides and grooms share all about their big day and all the details that made their day so unforgettable. I'm Sarah, your host, and I want to let you know that you can take Something Borrowed Blue Ridge on the go through any podcasting service or watch our podcast to see all the pictures, details, and beautiful moments of our couple's days on our YouTube channel. I'm so glad you are here, and I cannot wait for the conversations to begin. Let's get started. First of all, welcome. Thank you for being here. And secondly, tell me how y'all met and tell me a little bit about yourselves.
Okay, so we met a little over 7 years ago. We went to not the same high school, but our high schools played each other in sports. And so my sophomore year, we had a volleyball game against South Johnston, and we'd seen each other on social media. And so he came to the volleyball game at Midway, and I don't know, just
kind of clicked from there. So.
Yeah, the next week he asked me to be his girlfriend, and it was funny because he was my first boyfriend, but I wasn't his first girlfriend, which is fine. But he had always talked to girls for 2 months, 3 months before he asked them out. But for me, it was
a week,
a week later. So.
Oh my goodness, I love that. That's just such a cool story. And so, how long were you engaged before you got married? And then we'll also talk about proposal too, because I want to hear about that too. But first of all, well, I guess let's talk about how long you were together before you proposed. That's a good one.
7.
No,
6.
it was 5.5 years when he proposed.
Oh yeah.
And it was right before my junior year of college, his senior year of college. And we got married right after I graduated. So it was a little less than a 2-year engagement.
Awesome. That is awesome. So tell me about the proposal. I want to hear all about it.
So we usually go and serve at this church camp in, Minneapolis, North Carolina. It's about 45 minutes outside of Boone. So we always had this special mountain that we went on top of that was her favorite place. So we planned a trip with some of her friends, and we went and stayed at the camp retreat where we got a church camp at. And then we took a hike, and the drive up there, it was completely cloudy and raining. And I was like, this is going to be a nightmare. And as soon as we got up to the top of the mountain, you couldn't see from 5 feet out in front of each other. So it was a little nerve wracking, but as soon as I got on the knee, all the clouds just kind of rolled over, and you could see the whole mountain range and all of Boone and Asheville. It was awesome.
Sun came out, and I was completely surprised. I had no idea. And it's kind of funny because I was wearing gym shorts and a tank top, and he was like, we're going to take pictures on the mountains. All the couples are going to take pictures. And I was like, I'm not going to wear a dress to hike up a mountain. I'm not doing that. And I feel like that probably should have given it away for me, but I truly just wasn't expecting it. And bottom line, I'm so glad that I wore a dress up there because I would have been really mad at myself if I wouldn't.
That's amazing. So Jack, were you nervous? I mean, I know you said about the weather you were nervous, but how else were you feeling leading up to the day and actually on the day?
Leading up to the day, I had it hidden in my shower, my shower bag, because I thought if Blythe looked through my bags for anything, she would not look in my shower kit. And the first day we got there, she's like, I went to go look for your phone charger, and I looked through all your bags and even your showering bag. And I was like, why was she looking at my shower bag? So I thought maybe she knew, but apparently she didn't. But getting on the knee, I had to practice the stance to make sure I wasn't too wobbly. So that was the most nervous part, that I would fall over and embarrass myself. But yeah, it went pretty smooth other than the rain, pretty much.
He was definitely nervous. And the day before, he was just acting kind of weird. I was like, what is wrong with you? What's going on? You're acting so weird. And I know now that he was just so nervous because he planned the whole trip basically by himself. He's just so thoughtful, and he planned out every little detail. And right after he proposed, he was now I can breathe.
Yeah, I had a whole speech planned out, and none of it went to plan. So
Yeah, that's fine.
So
It was perfect.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, that's how it goes. It's like you almost like black out immediately. You're like, oh my gosh, all this is finally happening, especially when you've been planning it for, it sounds like as long as you were, with planning a whole trip and getting everybody there and making sure she didn't know. I mean, it's a lot. I feel like this is the part that like a lot of people don't focus on as much. It's like, wow, the proposal was amazing, but the planning for you, Jack, is just like huge.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
For sure. So now let's talk engagement. You said a little under 2 years. So tell me, when you first got engaged, like what sort of happened, where you went from there? Because I mean, it sort of becomes a whirlwind. So what was it like for you?
Definitely. So I knew nothing about weddings. Like I truly did not know the first bit of information about how anything went. So, I mean, I feel like that's how a lot of people are, but I went in completely blind, but I ended up figuring it out. And I was in college, like junior year of college. And in college, I was super involved. Like I was a part of everything. And so I was already busy with like extracurriculars on top of all the schoolwork that I had, on top of planning a wedding, on top of like working part-time. And so it was just honestly so much, but that was like a part of the plan. He wanted to make sure that I had enough time to plan the wedding without being super stressed out. And I don't know, I feel like I kind of put it off a little bit. Like we really soaked up the first couple months of just being engaged. And I didn't really like go too much into planning. I think we
started in January.
Yeah, started like really planning in January. Like we booked our venue in January and then went from there. But it was definitely a lot, especially at the end, which is a lot for everybody at the end, I know. But yeah, we figured it out and I had a lot of help. Like his mom and my mom just like came together and they were so helpful with helping me get everything together. And then I had some amazing vendors that, just like helped me decide a lot of things. So
For sure. And good vendors help so much. And Jack, were you involved a lot in the planning of the wedding process, or was it more?
I was a little involved, kind of helped pick the flowers and the locations of things, because I have a huge family. So that was kind of the main thing we were worried about, because my family's like 100 people, just immediate family. So
Wow.
so we had to find somewhere for size wise, but I was pretty involved. I mean, she did all the pretty parts, the colors and the flowers, but the vendors picking was pretty easy. But we had some great help that day for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
He picked like the suits and stuff and like the ties, and he like found the place that he wanted to get the suits from and all that. So it worked out really well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like I hear so many different things like about like some grooms are like completely hands off, don't do anything, and then some grooms like want to be in there and helping. And I love that. Like even you're thinking about, a lot of people don't think that the first thing you got to talk about is guest list. Like how many people are you going to have, because you got to find your venue, and your venue has to fit the right amount of people. And so that part alone can be stressful, and sounding like having 100 people in your immediate family, that's definitely going to bring a much bigger venue that you need. So where did y'all end up getting married? What was your venue?
The Carolina Barn in Spring Lake. Oh my gosh, it was absolutely gorgeous. And I didn't realize how many people hadn't heard about it. I think it's been around for 3 years now. We actually went to like a dinner thing there like 2 years ago. Were we engaged yet, actually? No, we weren't engaged yet. And we went for a dinner and I was like, oh my gosh, this place is so gorgeous. And when you think of a barn, you think of a barn, but the Carolina Barn was so elegant. Like it's like another level. It was just so romantic and elegant and classy. So it was absolutely perfect. And it's a really big space too. So we got to utilize like all parts of it, the outside, the insides, because there's like 2 separate places. We had the ceremony in the back part, the reception in the main part. We used the outside for the cocktail hour. So it was perfect.
That's awesome. And that makes me want to go ahead and jump into your pictures, because looking at your pictures, I was like, wow, blown away. So I'm going to share my screen so that y'all can see. So tell me about this inspiration picture.
So this is the altar that I had in mind. I wanted this to be like the backdrop of our altar. And I basically showed this to our florist and I was like, I want this like height wise and everything, but I want it to be more alive. Like it's all dead in that. And like we got married June 11th. So like beginning of spring. And so I was like, basically this, but I want it more alive. So I want more like pops of colors and everything. And she did perfect. It was so beautiful.
That's awesome. I love that. Like as soon as I saw that and then I saw your picture of where y'all actually got married, your ceremony space, I was like, oh my gosh, that totally makes perfect sense. Okay, and then I have this one too. So tell me about it.
Yes. So I mean, I had a really hard time at first deciding like what my theme was, because I feel like a lot of people are like, okay, yeah, like I'm a classy bride. I want like a timeless looking wedding, or I'm a rustic girl, or like I want a strictly boho wedding. And I had a little bit of everything. So I came down to it being like chic modern boho. And so that picture, I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, like I really love that, but I know that I'm going to want to change it just a little bit. And so I loved the table number. I loved the glasses. I loved the candles, and then the centerpieces with like the different vases and the florals. And so we basically did that, except it was more like pinks and whites and greens. And we had more candles on the table, and all the vases were different, and like all the candle holders were different. It was so pretty.
I love that. And I love that you said like we took this as an idea and then we modified it, because I think a lot of people like they'll have these inspiration pictures and they're like, you're not going to make a carbon copy of it because you want it to be for your day. And like, so seeing your color scheme, and we'll see it later on in the more pictures later on of yours, but like seeing your color scheme, I can see how you took this idea and then made it your own, which I absolutely love for sure. So then I have this one too. So tell me about it.
Yes, so I definitely wanted a sweetheart table, and I feel like that's kind of controversial between people. Like some people are like, no, I want my whole bridal party to sit together, or no, I want to sit with all of my family. But we really wanted the sweetheart table, but we also wanted to be with our bridal party. And so what we ended up doing was we had our sweetheart table, which looked pretty similar to that. And then we had two like diagonal tables that went out. I think they were like 8-foot tables. And then our bridal party sat at that. So we were like all together. And I just loved this picture because like I loved the draped tablecloth with the candles and the florals and everything on the ground. I just thought that was so pretty and like romantic. And also I didn't want to just like use the two altar stands just for the ceremony. And so we actually used those behind our table too, our sweetheart table. And it just added so much. It was so beautiful because I think there's a picture in there of it that we'll see in a minute, but the backdrop would have been just like a plain wooden wall. And I was like, I mean, we'll stand out next to it, but I just think there can be more. And so we used this and then just like changed it a little bit, and then we just like made it our own.
I love that. And especially using your pieces in multiple places. I think that's an underutilized resource that you can totally do on your day. But I mean, you might as well use as much as you can. And especially when you've got those pieces that you know are just like you want them to be seen in more than one place. So I love that for sure. Awesome. So we'll go ahead and start moving into some of your pictures. So y'all tell me about this one.
So this is actually another inspiration picture.
Okay. I was wondering, I was like, okay, it looks very similar, which is why it's a good inspiration picture. Because I'm like, it looks similar to your day. So tell me about this one.
Yes, so I saw this on Pinterest and I was like, I just love it. Like, I don't know. I think I want to use it as like a welcome sign. I think I want us to make this. And he's really handy, like in every single way. And I was like, I really think we can make this ourselves. Like, I think that that's something we can handle. And so we took this and we made almost the exact same thing. And it turned out so good. And I think I put a picture in there that we'll see a little bit later.
Yes, I saw it. That's awesome. So Jack, you ended up making the one for the day.
Me and Blythe cut them, sanded them.
Wow.
2 or 3 of my groomsmen that are some of my best friends, they came and we had to put the stickers on, which was very scary because we wanted Blythe there, but she wasn't there at the time we put the stickers on. So it was just 3 dudes in there trying to put all these like decorations on these signs. It was fun though. It really was fun.
And it turned out so good.
It turned out really good.
That is awesome. I'm so excited. And that is so great. I mean, literally it looks very similar to what we're about to see. Because I was like, okay, is this an inspiration picture? Is this a picture from their day? I'm like, it looks so close. So 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
That's awesome. All right. And I think it might, okay, it's not here yet, but we'll talk about that picture when we get there. So tell me about this one. I love it. Tell me more.
Okay, so this was just one of our detail pictures and I just loved every single thing about it. I'll talk about our photographer a little bit later. She was so good. But I designed the invitations, the details, RSVP all my own. Like I didn't use Etsy or anything. I didn't use Minted or The Knot or anything because I liked the things that were on there, but they weren't exactly what I had in mind. And so I just wanted it to be completely personalized. And so I like did the design on like a Canva, I think.
Mhm.
And then I had to send them to different places to be printed because like CVS doesn't have 5x7 cardstock printing and Walgreens doesn't have 4x5.3 printing or whatever it was. And so I had to use like 3 different places to get them printed and everything. But they could not have turned out better.
Mhm.
They were phenomenal. They looked so beautiful. And then I got these really pretty like rose gold clips to pin them together inside the invitation. And our rings are rose gold, as you can see in the picture too. And so it just all like went together so well. And originally I thought that we were going to do like a sage color or like a blue, like a French blue color maybe. But I don't know where this like desert rose, like terracotta bits and pieces came in, but that's just like where it came in and we ran with it and it all just like goes together so well. And I knew that I wanted to do like different shoes. I didn't want to do white shoes. And I was like, well, I'm just going to do pink velvet shoes, of course. And we'll see in a couple more pictures that some of my bridesmaids dresses were velvet. And so it just went together so well. And then the earrings, I got those off of Etsy. They were so beautiful. I actually had gotten some more from like David's Bridal, I think, and they were really pretty, but they just like were not these. And I was like, I'm going to have to wear these. They are too beautiful not to wear. And then the perfume is actually like a cute little story. So I had gotten that perfume like 2 years ago, maybe, and I love it. And I used all of it. And Jack just like randomly went to the mall, I think, one day. And he was like, I got you a surprise. And I was like, oh, like, what is it? He was like, I got you perfume. And I was like, oh, like, like you pay attention to what perfume I wear? I don't know. And he had gotten me like another one of those because I'd ran out. So I just put that in our detail picture.
I love that. And it goes with the something blue too, right there in the picture. It's actually funny that you mentioned that perfume because that's the same perfume that I got on my wedding day. I was like, oh my gosh, when I saw it in there, I was like, oh, hey, I know that perfume. It smells really good. But that is such a sweet story and so thoughtful. Like seriously, that's just amazing. But I love every single detail of this and knowing that you created these invitation and the whole like suite all on your own. That is amazing. I'm blown away. That's just awesome. So here we go. Here's the picture of the seriously so amazing from inspiration to actual thing. Tell me about this one.
Yes. So those are the signs that we ended up making. And the basket that actually came from our house. And I just thought that it was cute. So I brought it because the flower arrangement was actually from the night before at our rehearsal dinner. And his mom is so good with florals and everything. And she like picked all the florals out and everything. And it matched our day perfectly. And so she was like, do y'all need these for anything? Like, I'm not going to use them again. And so we put that in the basket and it looked so good with it. And his sister actually has a Cricut. And so she did all the lettering and stuff.
Oh.
And she was like, I'd picked a font and she was like trying to make sure it was perfect. And she was like, I want to make sure that it's perfect, but I don't want it to be too thin to where it cracks when you try to put it on. And so she was so sweet by just like trying to make sure every little detail was so perfect. And it really did come out so good.
That is awesome. Yeah, I mean, it looks amazing. So perfect. And I love that you also reused the flowers from the rehearsal. I mean, that's just amazing. I would have thought that this was like completely planned like before. And so seeing how that so seamlessly came together, that is just awesome. And the lettering looks amazing. It goes right along with your invitation suite too. So I love that it's carried over directly from that. And so your guests, when they're walking in, they see it and they're like, oh, I'm in the right place. And it just ties it all together for sure. That's awesome. Okay, so let's go to this one. Tell me about this one. This one like made my heart so happy. So tell me about it.
So this box is a box that I had been making like since we met. And I've been writing like dear future husband letters, like literally since the day that we met. And I'd saved like movie tickets and concert tickets and football game tickets and letters that he had written me and wristbands from concerts and everything. And he had gotten me Pandora rings for like our first anniversary, I think, and it was like a promise ring, and I'd kept the bag and just like all these little things. Like I had pictures from prom in there, from like a photo booth that we had or something. And I had been like keeping this a secret for so long. And I was just so excited to give this to him. Like I could cry right now thinking about it. And so this was like right before the ceremony. We just like did a first touch because I knew that we didn't want to do a first look. We had like talked about that because some people were like, you should definitely do a first look, but we were like, no, I don't think so. So we did the first touch, and then I gave it to him, and I didn't include the picture of him bawling his eyeballs out. Bad. He was crying so much, and I was too. And it was the sweetest thing.
Well, I love that story. I was wondering, like, I saw the box and I figured this was sort of like your first touch, first, like, where you're not seeing each other, which I love that y'all also stayed true to what you wanted in that, because it can be so difficult when you have so many people saying, do a first look, do a first look. But you got to stay true to what you want to do. And so I love that story. And the fact that you saved it forever, Jack, I cannot imagine. I'm sure, like she said, like Blythe said, that there are pictures of you just bawling, because how could you not?
I know. It was cool. She even had like dried florals from the day we went to church camp one year. I picked up like a little flower and just like seamlessly, it was just like, here you go, like joking around. And the flower was in there. Like it was little extra things that she did was really cool.
Wow, that is amazing and so special. So do y'all have this box somewhere in your house now?
We do. We use it as just like a decor thing on a bookshelf.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness, that is just so sweet. I love that. And I love your dress too, and y'all's outfits. I could also clearly see that in this picture too. So tell me about those really quick before we move to the next one.
Okay, so this dress, I actually had tried on a couple before I went to Vow'd, which is like a sister store to Altered State. And I tried on a few and I liked them, but I was like, I don't really know. I don't think these are my dress. And then Vow'd had posted a picture of this dress that they had like just came out with. And I saw it and I was like, that is my dress. I know it. Like, I don't even have to try it on. I just know that it's going to be my dress. And there was this one Sunday where a group of girls from college and I went to Raleigh and we were going to do brunch. And it was just like the most random thing. And I was like, well, Vow'd is in Raleigh. So like while I'm up there, maybe we can go. And my maid of honor lived in Raleigh. So I was like, oh my gosh, like you have to come with us today. And I texted my mom and my mom's best friend that's helped me pick out all my prom dresses and everything. And I was like, I have a feeling that I'm going to get my dress today. Like, I really need y'all to be there. I don't know what your plans are. And they were like, okay, we'll be there. And so I walk in the store and all my friends are so cute. They're just like walking around looking at all the dresses. And the lady was like, pick out ones that you can see her in. And we all like went to the same dress, and it was this dress. And I saw it just like hanging up and I was like, yeah, for sure, that's going to be my dress. And so we went to the back and the lady was like, which dress do you want to try on first? And I was like, I want to try on the Forte. Like, if it's going to be bad, I just want to get it over with because I feel really attached to it already. And I put it on and I was like, I don't even need to walk out there. I know this is my dress. And I walked out there and everybody knew that it was going to be the one. And I tried on several dresses after that. And I was like, well, like, they're cute, but they're not the one. And everybody was like, yeah, you don't need just a cute dress. So you should definitely get this one. And also the sleeves come off it. And originally I just wanted a fitted dress without sleeves, just like straps. And so I just thought I loved the sleeves. Like that was the most beautiful touch. And then for the reception, I took the sleeves off and it's like a whole new dress. And so it was just so cute. And you want to talk about the suits?
So the suits came from, was it Black Tux? A great company. I found them, I think, on scrolling through Instagram one day when we were looking at wedding stuff. And there's such a cool process you go through and just put in your measurements. They ship them directly to your groomsmen, so you can have like the whole list on your phone and keep up with who's ordered their suits and who hasn't, which was nice because that was the most stressful part on my part. I felt like was make sure everybody had their stuff in time. But they sent them to you, and then if something didn't fit, you didn't have to go through this whole process. You just called them, they sent you the next size up and down. And then at the same day, your packaging box already had tape and a return label already in it, and you just put it in a box and send it back. And they're a great company. They really are. So I was really excited to use them. They had a lot of options too, which was cool.
That's awesome. Well, and I've never heard of anybody. I've seen that company pop up on Instagram, and I haven't talked to anybody who's used them. So that is wonderful to hear. And definitely for anybody listening, if you are looking for a suit, that is definitely a great option. Because I love too if you send it back, they send you the size up and the size down, because that just makes it so seamless and easy. And the tracking piece, because that is a stressor. You would not think. Even I know for brides too, like with all the bridesmaids trying to make sure everybody gets their dress and ordering on time and all of that. It's a lot to manage with so many people. So that is awesome.
Yeah, they even came like dry clean. So when you hung them up, like the
Wow.
wrinkles fell out like of the material. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
It was nice. It was
nice.
really nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Well, that is highly recommended. That's awesome. I will definitely share that too. And anybody who's listening, for sure. That's awesome.
Oh, and they pay for the groom's
Yeah,
suit.
if you have over
Oh.
6 groomsmen, I believe, the grooms is free, which is so I
Like
think
suspenders, we didn't choose suspenders, but suspenders, suit,
Shoe.
shirt, shoes, belt, everything paid for. So
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going to check them out and share that with all my any of my future brides and grooms, and anybody who's listening, definitely check them out. That's awesome. All right, so this one, going back to attire and tying back to the velvet, tell me about it.
yes, so this is just like, I look at this and my heart is just overwhelmed with joy. Like these are my girls. Like it's just, that was the most special day, just being with all of them. And honestly, the story about the dresses is kind of funny. So I used the website Revelry, and I'm sure you've heard of it. Oh my gosh, phenomenal. Like the amount of like options for different styles, the amount of colors, like the different textures and materials. Oh my gosh, they were so good. Customer service, amazing. So I was like, we're definitely going to go with Revelry. Okay. Well, I decided on this color after thinking we were going to do sage or like French blue. And the thing about it is that they don't all have the same name. So like the satin chiffon velvet, which are the ones I was like, we're definitely going to have these three materials. They didn't come in the same color. Like I think the velvet was like desert rose. The satin was like dusty pink or something. Like they were different names. And so they weren't exactly the same color. And there were some that were really, really close. Like there was one and it was called terracotta. And I was like, well, that looks like the chiffon color. But I saw a picture of it in real life and it looked brown when certain light hit it because it's velvet. And I was like, well, I don't think that's going to work. It's like, I just don't know what to do. And we had a couple girls that did the at-home try on, but when you do that, you don't get the exact color. Like they'll just send you a random color, but it's the same style of dress.
Oh.
And it was very, very stressful. Oh my gosh. I ordered like at-home swatches, like the mega swatches, the small swatches, and I was trying to like pair them together. I spent weeks working on this because I was like, I cannot have different colors. Like that ain't gonna work. And this just came out better than I could have ever imagined. Like I saw everybody's dress hanging up on the wall when we were getting ready. And I was like, this is the most aesthetically pleasing thing I've ever seen. Like it is just perfect. And another thing is that I wanted to make sure everybody like chose their own style, because I wanted them to like show their personality through their dress. I didn't want everybody to look so uniform, which I do think looks very beautiful. And originally that's what we were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I decided against that and going with everybody choosing their own. And they loved that idea. And then they all just felt so beautiful, which like made it even more special just the whole day entirely, because like I wanted them to feel just as beautiful as I wanted to feel. So it was so special.
I love everything about that. And I've never used Revelry. I've heard of it, but I've never used it. And it's amazing that you spent all that time getting all those swatches, but it paid off because you can so clearly see that it goes perfectly together. And your group, just like, even just looking at that picture, like you said, it brings you so much joy. Like I can just see it in this picture, how much joy that this group must have been on your day. I mean, it just looks like you've got just like a wonderful group of friends. So that's just amazing. You can so clearly see it coming out in this picture. So let's talk about this one. I want to know, tell me what's going on.
Okay, so we lead worship at the church that we go to, which is Village Baptist Church in Fayetteville. And we've been doing that for a little bit, and we actually led worship in college as well. And God has just been opening so many doors for us in this way. And we really wanted our entire day, from the moment that we got to the venue all the way until we left, to be the focus to be on celebrating what God had brought together. And because like we wouldn't be together if it wasn't for him anyways. And so we were like, why would we not lead worship at our wedding? Like that would just be the most special moment. And my mom actually got married October 1st or last October 1st. And she asked us to sing at her wedding. And we were like, oh my gosh, like, okay, we can do this. And so we sang the blessing at her wedding, and we were deciding what song to sing. We were really torn between a couple, and we decided to do the blessing and at our wedding as well. And it was just the most heavenly moment. Like I truly cannot explain it. I opened my eyes for 1 minute, and actually, like we'll get into this a little bit later, but the sun like just happened to come out right as we started singing, and his mom is standing on the right side, and she had this beautiful like sequin dress, and it was like glassy sequin, so it wasn't like super like repellent when the light hit it, but like it was just like it gave off the most beautiful light. And so I knew that the sun had come out because I saw the reflection off of her dress, and I opened my eyes for that 1 second when I saw that, and I started crying, and so I had to close my eyes again. And oh my gosh, it really was just like the most heavenly moment. It was so special.
That is so special. I literally just got goosebumps as you're telling that story. Like that is just the most special story I think I've ever heard in a ceremony. Like that is just wonderful. And so tell me about your ceremony space too, and like how did your ceremony go? I mean, that's just wonderful. So tell me more.
So I know that a lot of people will just do like standard straight chairs, but we knew that the space that we had allotted like 205 chairs for people sitting down. And we had exactly like 205 people. But we added a couple extra chairs. So we had 215 chairs, and it ended up being like 215 people there that were sitting. And so instead of doing straight rows, I wanted them to be curved like along the whole row. And first of all, it looked so beautiful, but it was like kind of cramped in there. But also we didn't mind that because we wanted it to be intimate. Like we wanted everybody to be close together. And so the space was big before we filled it up with people, but it just seemed perfect. And my mom actually did the ceremony. Like that's my mom behind me. And that was so special. And I think that not only did we want the focus to be just like on God the entire day, but another thing that we really thought would be important is to make our wedding as personal as we could. Like we've been to a lot of weddings. There are some things that can't change, like there's traditional things, but there were a lot of parts of our day that were not traditional. Like you can see, I was on the right side looking at the altar. He was on the left side. So we switched sides, and we had guys and girls on both sides. And his parents were adjacent to him. My parents or my family was adjacent to me, so they could like see us at the altar. We did a lot of things different, but we definitely wanted that because we wanted it to be something that not only we remembered as our day, but that other people saw and they were like, wow, like that was really different. That was really special. And that was just so personal to them. So that was a really big part of what we wanted to do.
Yeah, just the amount of thought and personalization that you put in, even the way you're describing your space as, where everyone can be close together and seen, and you've really put thought into like, are they going to be able to see me or not? I love that. And also the fact that you don't have to follow the traditional setup of, one person on one side, one person on the other. You can switch it up. It's your day, and you can make it as special and personalized as you want. And y'all truly did. I mean, I am just blown away at all of the special details and moments that truly reflect who you are, and how you met, and all of those details, from being at church camp together and leading worship and all of that. I mean, your focus is so clear, and you can see it in this picture, but also I can hear it in the amount of planning that you put into it. And that's just so special, just so incredibly special. Thank y'all for sharing that with me. Jack, do you want to share anything else?
The main thing about the ceremony that I remember was she talked about how like the sunlight came out, and we didn't do the first look thing. I'd recommend any groom not doing a first look before the ceremony. As soon as those doors open, like I'm about to start crying just talking about it. The song she walked down, like I listened to it beforehand, so like I knew the exact beat of when the doors would open. And as soon as those doors opened, it was like just watching an angel walk down the aisle. Like I just sobbed my eyes out. I thought I was gonna pass out. Like it was one of the greatest, like that's like the most memorable time from like my whole day was just watching the doors open, like seeing my bride walk down. It was that was probably the most memorable part of my day, was walking her the first time the doors opened. So the ceremony.
That is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, that's just amazing. I love that. And I love hearing from your side what you were seeing. And the fact, like you said, I mean, first looks, a lot of people are doing them, but you can clearly see how special that moment can be if that's what you're wanting. And that's just absolutely wonderful. And that's a memory you'll have forever. I love that. So thank y'all for sharing all of that. That's just makes my heart happy. So let's talk a little bit more. Now I think we're sort of getting towards reception space is what I'm thinking, or maybe this is entrance into the day. Tell me about this.
Yes. So this was entrance into the day. We had two like welcoming people. It was my mom's best friend who was with us when I picked out my wedding dress, and then her son, which I grew up with, just being best friends with. So they were just the two perfect people to welcome people into our wedding. And it was so funny because I wasn't actually sure if my mom's best friend would know like how to do the Polaroid and like get all that together, but I knew that Carter, her son, would. And so it worked out so perfect. And everybody, like as they came in, they would take a picture of them and they would like let it, as it was printing out, they would sign the book. And I actually made the book on the knot. It's so pretty. Like we have it and we look at it all the time because we don't have a picture of every single person that was there together, but we do have a picture of every single person that was there. And it is just the most special thing. Like I recommend that to anybody. Like I know that traditional welcome books are what most people use, but this was just like the best idea. And in the picture, you can actually see the picture that's like standing up against the basket. That's a picture of Jack and I that we took at the end of the night. And then on the book, it's like the groomsmen in one of them, and then my aunt and her daughter, which is our flower girl, and then his sister and her now fiance. They just got engaged a couple of days ago. So it's just so special.
Absolutely. I love that. And like you said, it's like a memory book of like capturing them walking in. You've got everybody there. So you know who all was there and you can look back through it. I mean, that's what I feel like the whole purpose of a guest book is so that you can know who is there, actually get to see it, but then having the actual pictures. And then when you can get those group shots at the end of the night and add those into, that makes it even more special. That's awesome. I love that. So let's look at this one. Tell me about this one. This shows off your venue like so well. So tell me about it.
It does. So that was like one of three chandeliers, I think, in there, which I loved. Like the first thing I saw when I walked in the venue, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. But the balcony is actually like where the bride suite was. And then on the other side of the venue is where the groom suite was. And they were so cool. Like they were just like the best spaces for us to relax at the beginning of the day and get ready. And so after we took our pictures and everything, everybody was already inside of our reception. And so we came out of the doors and they introduced us. And this was just like the sweetest picture. Like, I'm so glad that they got this because you can see like our bridal party standing there and like everybody cheering us on. And oh my gosh, it's just such a sweet picture.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, and I love that the focus is on y'all. Everyone can see you, which is awesome. But then, like you said, I feel like some of the most special pictures from your day end up being the ones where you can see all of the people around you. And this picture so clearly captures all of that. So I love that. Jack, do you want to share anything about this one?
Same thing, like she said, just having our family there and like the people that like meant the most to like our relationship and just the closest people in our lives. Like your wedding day is a cool day because and you're celebrating your love story, but feeling the love from the people around you that supported you and walked with you throughout your whole entire relationship is also a really cool moment. So I think this picture really does show that like love fills the room, not just between the bride and the groom, but between everybody there. It's a cool moment.
Absolutely. I love this one. Thanks for sharing it. All right. I think this might be our last one. Tell me about it.
Yes, so you can't see my shoes, but you can see Jack has changed his shoes. And we actually got mid blazers to wear for the reception because they were way more comfortable than heels and his dress shoes, I'm sure. But they also were kind of cool. And they just like represent us, I think, because we just like love stuff like that. But like I was saying earlier about how the sun had randomly come out. So when we first got to the venue, it was kind of cloudy. Like it was like overcast, I think, but it wasn't raining or anything. And during our ceremony, the sun finally came out just out of nowhere. And then after the ceremony, we go outside, we take pictures with our bridal party and then just of us. and there is the darkest cloud coming. And we're like, oh my gosh, like we're about to get rained on. And so right after cocktail hour had ended, right after our pictures, we had just gotten inside, literally just closed the door, and the bottom fell out. Like it started pouring rain. And we were like, oh my goodness, like that's fine. Like that's okay because we're inside. And then we had just eaten dinner after this picture, and the sky cleared up and we had the most beautiful sunset. And we were like, wow, like what a day. This is so cool.
For sure. Yeah. And I can also see that where you took your sleeves off. Because I noticed that at the beginning. I was like, oh, and that's when I was gonna ask you. I was like, wait, is this a whole different dress? Have you just like, is it convertible? What is that? So I'm glad you talked about that earlier. But like you can also see the details in your dress too. And I love that you put on the comfortable shoes because it does just change the game for the rest of the day for sure.
We did.
That's awesome. So I think that was our last one. So tell me, now that we've talked about some of the pictures of your day and really like reflect and reminisce, tell me, what was your favorite part of the day?
You go first.
Let me go first. Like I said, my favorite part, still, we talked about this earlier today. She was just asking me, she's like, what was your favorite part? And the celebrating our love was obviously the favorite part, but I swear, like seeing her walk down the aisle the first time, like I will never forget that, like that's that moment. And it was just so cool, like seeing her walk down to that song, especially because it was by Elevation Worship, which with you. And it just represented like God being in our relationship and being the foundation of everything. And not only was he with us, but we were going to be with each other for the rest of our life. So that was probably my favorite moment. The reception, everything was awesome. It was fun, but really like just the ceremony and having God be the center of our whole day was really a standout point in the day for me.
Definitely. And just one thing about the music for a second, like I mean, I think we've already talked about this, but there was so much detail that went into every single piece, including the music. Like we're huge music people. We love music. And that song that I walked down the aisle to is called With You. And it just like talks about whenever we're anxious, we're feeling nervous, like we don't have to worry, like because one moment with Jesus just like calms every part of our being. And so I knew that he was going to be nervous down there. I was nervous, like in the back. And my brothers actually walked me down the aisle. I have a brother that's 18 and one that's about to turn 13. And they were like, they always make me laugh so much, but they were like doing extra to like, because they could tell that I was a little bit nervous. And we were just like cracking jokes back there. But then when that song came on, I was like, like I'm just kind of nervous. And but that song honestly just gave me just like an overwhelming peace, and I think for him too. So I don't know, it was really, really good. But I had so many favorite parts of the day. Oh my gosh, it's really hard to pick. I mean, I just remember even just getting there and like starting getting ready, and I actually did my own hair and makeup because I don't know, I felt more comfortable with that. And like we had girls come do makeup and hair for the bridesmaids. But anytime I've ever gotten my hair and makeup done by somebody else, I haven't really liked it. And I just know like my skin type, my skin texture. And so I decided to do it. And that was so fun, like just getting ready up there with my friends. And then I remember when they put their dresses on, I just kept looking at them and being like, y'all were just so beautiful, like not just on the outside, but on the inside. And I just like could not be more thankful that y'all are here beside me today. And it was just the sweetest moment. And then my mom was obviously upstairs getting ready with me too. And we just had these really sweet moments up there talking. And then just the ceremony was just amazing. And Miss Susan, which is his mom, we were talking a couple weeks after the wedding, and she was like, I've never seen that many people cry at a wedding, and I've been to a lot of weddings. And I was like, oh, really? Like, I was not even paying attention because I feel like the entire time I was looking at Jack with like googly eyes, just like crying the whole time. And so the ceremony was obviously so sweet. And then the reception was such a good time. And we did our first dance, which was so sweet. And then we did a father-daughter dance. And I danced with my dad, and I picked Hold You in My Arms by Ray LaMontagne. And so for the first part of the dance, I danced with my dad, and this was a surprise to my stepdad that my mom just married in October, and then his dad, because he's been basically my dad for 7 years, and they mean so much to me, and I wanted to incorporate them in that. And so a third of the way through, I told my dad, I was like, I'm going to go ask Mr. Michael, my stepdad, to dance. And so I like went and found him, and that was so special for him. And then I asked his dad to dance, and it was just like such a surprise, and it was the sweetest thing. Let's see, other than that, I don't know, the whole night was
The
so
whole night was
fun. Like we
so
just
much fun.
danced the whole time, and I don't know, it was just really fun.
That's awesome. On that note, thinking about the whole day, are there any vendors that you want to shout out or like just say like they're awesome? I know we've talked about a couple, but are there any particular that you want to shout out?
I know Hannah for sure. Like I wasn't even the bride. She was fantastic. Like she made all the grooms feel at ease. She made me feel at ease because I was stressed out walking around. I had to go like sit outside in the parking lot on the ground for a few minutes to just catch my breath. But I can't even imagine what she did for Blythe. But for me, like she was great even for the little bit I had to like be around her. But she was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I don't think I've ever met a wedding planner, been around somebody that was that professional and that sweet all the time.
Yeah. I mean, just from the very beginning, like I got her as like a guide for planning the process, but also like day of coordinator. And Hannah Strickland, like I tell everybody that I know get married, I'm like, I could not have found anybody better. And like we just meshed so well. Like she's just so personable and I don't know, just so calming because like you know that wedding planning is so stressful and during every part of it, she was just like, no, it's fine. Like we're not gonna stress, it's gonna be fine. And everybody told me before the wedding, they were like, don't worry, things are gonna go wrong. And I'm telling you,
Not one
maybe
thing.
Hannah like just didn't tell me, but nothing went wrong.
Yeah.
And like I know that it was because of her. And she was just the best. And I remember whenever I was telling mom, I was like, I really need a wedding planner, and like I really want to go with Hannah. She was like, I don't know if you need a wedding planner. Like I think you can do it. And I was like, no, mom, I don't think so. And so we went with her, and my mom, the day of the wedding, she was like, Hannah's the best thing ever. I love her so much. She's so good. So definitely Hannah. I just wanted to shout out our photographer and videographer that we went with. We went with Timeless Carolinas. They are a corporation out of Greensboro, Raleigh, Durham, I think. No, Charlotte, Durham, Greensboro. I don't remember exactly, but they're a big corporation, and basically they will hire the photographers and videographers that are independent but work like under their corporation for wherever your wedding is. And they offer like phenomenal packages. Like, I mean, we got a phenomenal deal, and they offered like bridal portraits, day of like 8 hours with second shooter coverage and videography for day of for just like a really good inclusive price. And our pictures, I'm really picky about pictures. It took me a while to like find who we wanted, and they could not have been better. Like they were just so good. The video was beautiful. We watch it all the time. And so they were just phenomenal as well. Honestly, all of our vendors were so good. Our DJ was Joey Warren. He was so good. I talked to him like weeks going up to the wedding. I felt like I knew him so well by the day of, and everybody said like, oh my gosh, your DJ was so good. Laura Goodrich was our caterer, and the food,
So good.
my gosh, it was so good. And her and Hannah like got together, and they like fixed our plates for us and like had it there for us. They were like giving us refills and stuff, because people say you're not going to eat on your wedding day, don't forget to eat. But we didn't even have to worry about it, because between Laura and Hannah, like we had everything that we needed. And so she was just phenomenal as well. Can you think of anything else?
The Brewmasters mobile.
Yeah.
We had alcohol at our wedding, and they brought like this cool little trailer, and it was unlimited drinks for like a 4-hour period, and they provided cups, and they were just so professional and quick and easy, and I had no problems with them. They were fantastic, absolutely fantastic. The little trailer they used was really cool.
Yeah, it was a
cool
cute little
touch.
horse trailer, and we like actually got to bring it into the venue, so it was like on the opposite side of the barn. It was really cute.
That's awesome. Wow. So many incredible vendors. And that makes such a difference on your day. And especially like at the beginning when y'all were talking about specifically with Hannah, and I'm sure with the photographer too, but it's just so helpful because you're spending so much time with them all day. And so you really do want to find somebody that you actually connect with and you feel comfortable with, because you're going to see them pretty much all day long. And so you want to make sure that it's somebody that you can work well with. But obviously I know Hannah too, and she is amazing. So I'm so glad that you mentioned her. But it sounds like your vendors were just wonderful, and that can make or break your day. So I'm so glad to hear that you had so many incredible people, and hopefully that'll help out some of our future brides and grooms as they're looking for people who they might want to include on their day. So that is awesome. And as we're sort of getting near the end and wrapping up soon, what advice would you give to a new bride or groom as they're planning their wedding day?
You go first.
You go first?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I have a few things. I think first, like everybody tells you that your wedding day is going to go by so fast. And like, I heard that and I, processed it and everything, but it went by so much faster than I could have ever wrapped my mind around. And I was not prepared for that. Like, honestly, after the wedding, I was so sad, like the wedding blues or whatever. I didn't even know that was a thing. And I was so sad. I was like, Jack, like, I feel like maybe I didn't savor it enough or I wasn't as present as I should have been. Like, no, I definitely was. It just went by that fast because it's just like any other day that goes by so fast. And so I just think like taking so many pictures and being really intentional on that day about spending time with your people and like just soaking up the fact that like you just got married and like the day truly is about you and your groom and just like, I don't know, just like leaning into that. And just taking every opportunity to just, I don't know, soak it in. Yeah. Another thing that I'll say is that I have heard a lot of brides that do like, this is kind of random, but they do like crash diets and everything before their wedding because they're so stressed about what they're going to look like in their dress and all these different things. And that just brings so much insecurity. And so I would say don't put so much focus on that at all. Like, go to the gym, like eat good, healthy foods to make yourself feel good, but do not put so much focus on that because like in the end, that's not going to matter. And you're going to look so beautiful regardless. Like your fiance proposed to you the way that you look and like you don't need to change. Like you are so beautiful, not just because of how you look on the outside. So I just think that keeping that in mind is so important because that can put you in a really negative headspace. So definitely try to avoid that going into your wedding because there's a lot of pressure around that about like looking your best on your wedding day. So you're already going to look your best. So just don't stress about it. Yeah, that's all I have for now.
Mine would be just being supportive for your fiance and soon to be bride when they're planning the wedding process because it is stressful. It's more stressful for them than it is for the groom for sure. It's just a part of it, I guess. But being supportive and being there to help and give any information or any insights on decision making or planning and stuff, and not to be too stressed about it. But she hit the nail on the head with how fast that day goes because as soon as the wedding was over, like, let's get married again next weekend just so we can do it again because it really did go by so fast. But just really soak in the moment. I remember like at the end of the reception, like all of my guy friends, I was telling Blythe this because my mom said everybody was crying, even like my groomsmen were crying. And that's something that like guys don't really do, like telling each other how they feel about each other, but hearing like your guy friends tell you how much they really like think about you and your wife, and that's a cool moment. So really soaking in every possible second with every person there, and just live it like it's not going to end because it's going to end, and when it ends, it's very sad. But really just living in the moment. That's really what my main advice would be.
I do think now that I'm thinking, another thing is that like after our wedding, I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel bad talking about it. Like I don't want to annoy people or anything, but like don't feel bad about doing that. Like talk about your day. Like that was such a special moment and you're going to remember it forever. So like you might as well talk about it. You're not getting on anybody's nerves. So just like don't feel bad talking about that and just like reliving it through the memories that you have.
For sure. And I'm so glad you said that because I definitely am so glad that y'all came on to talk about your day because I feel like it is sometimes the thing that you like people will feel, I mean, almost that insecurity, like we're talking about their day because they don't want to annoy people or whatever. But it is such a joyful moment in your life and one that you will never forget. And I love every piece of advice that you gave. And especially that the day flies by. I mean, I don't think it's even understood until you're actually getting married, just how incredibly fast that it flies by. So I think even taking time like this, just to reflect as a couple too, is so special to talk together because, you know, every time I record a podcast, my husband and I talk about our wedding too. And it brings up so many happy memories of like, wow, that happened. Like we did that. It wasn't just, a thing that happened one day and we never talked about it again. Like, it's just so special. And I'm glad that y'all have taken this time to be here today and talk with me about your day. I have been almost brought to tears multiple times about your story and your just absolutely special day. Is there anything else that y'all want to share before we wrap up for the day?
I don't think so. Thank you so much, Sarah. This was so much fun.
This has been Something Borrowed Blue Ridge. Thank you so much for tuning in and be sure to follow along on YouTube or your favorite podcast service, and we'll see you soon.